back. This is John.
And it's Eric.
And there's no more Paul.
Nope, we're Paulus once again.
Paul's in Alabama humping a dog or something.
The dogs are humping him, I think.
Oh, right, yeah, that was
the story anyway.
Something's humping something. We're not sure what. Sorry, Paul, we miss you. Anyway, he's up in Alabama hanging out for family for Thanksgiving because today is Tuesday the 26th now, right? Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Sure.
Sounds about right.
Sounds right. 26th. Yeah. 2 days it'll be Thanksgiving. So something we skipped while Paul was on the phone, we should have done.
Oh, that's
was
all right.
Briefly,
we
can do it in the Geekly Weekly. We'll do it in the Geekly
yeah.
Weekly. And we'll ask him to chime in with maybe we can message him and ask him to chime in like something that he's thankful for. Anyway, we are reviewing Mandalorian. We just did chapter 2.
Yeah.
So
and now we're going to do chapter
we're rolling right into chapter 3.
Yeah, and you'll get these as separate episodes, of course, that probably won't release 5 seconds apart, but that's how far apart we're recording them.
Yeah. So you're almost in real time, minus a day. Or something. I don't know.
All right, so when we left our hero off at the end of the last one...
he had a passed out Yodelorian.
Yeah, yep. He had a passed out Yodelorian. Yodelee. And he was heading back to give his bounty to the client.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where we pick up on chapter 3, of course. He's on his way to drop that bounty.
I'll bring it up when we get to the client.
Okay. So, that's now. It starts off there.
Okay.
So he goes right to the client first thing in the episode. He is obviously extremely hesitant about dropping the kid off.
He is. He's worried about it because, obviously, as we discovered last episode, the kid saved his life against the Mudhorn.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of
there's probably a life debt
now.
element to it. I think they're
Sure.
almost. It seems like in the flashbacks for the armorer, that there's maybe a little bit here of, and this can be later in the episode.
He's a
sorry
foundling.
to spoil it now, but he's a foundling, so he was essentially an orphan too that was picked up, and so I think he may have some connection to the kid just from that. Like,
Sure,
oh
yeah.
shit, he's an orphan,
a fellow orphan. Yeah, that's what I picked up from the very beginning. All right, so with the client, what the hell is his name? Do you have it written down here?
No, I don't.
I've heard it 15 times on different podcasts, and I can't remember. But anywho,
I'm not sure.
He's the dude with the stormtroopers. They do say his name somewhere. Maybe it's in the credits. But he's the guy with the stormtroopers that's looking for this thing, right? He's got a doctor with him. If you notice, on his clothing, his attire, I think, did we mention it before? There's a Camino patch. And Camino is where the original clones came from.
The doctor has one.
The doctor,
on episode 1, yeah. And the client is wearing the Imperial 6-pointed crest or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two symbols we get to see there. So and you were going to talk about cloning.
So one of the theories that's out there is a big one, and we can get into it later on, is that this thing is not just a baby, but it's an actual clone of Yoda. We can get into all that later. Let's go through the episode, then we'll get into our theories.
Okay.
But
all right.
I just wanted to refer to the fact that the Doctor does have a Camino patch on his attire.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it.
So there's at least reason for some of these theories.
So he apparently breaks some sort of bounty hunter code or something here because he asked the client what they're going to do with the Yodelorian, and the guy's basically like, mind your own fucking business. You're not allowed to ask that question, and what the hell do you care anyway?
Yep.
I'm giving you all
I'm
the money.
I'm going to pay you in Beskar steel.
And this is the point in this episode where he screws himself, and when it comes back around, when we get to the part where the story plays out, if he hadn't done this now, he probably could have got away with everything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because they wouldn't have known who did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was obvious when he started asking questions about it. They knew right away, like,
red flags.
This motherfucker's coming back.
Yeah.
And it ain't going to be good.
And now, this also leads immediately into, before you start talking about what's coming up, it leads immediately into yet another one of the reasons why I love Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Yep.
The two of them together with their damn Easter eggs.
Oh, yeah.
In this show are the reason why I hope and pray that the two of them are going to work together in unison and take over Kathleen Kennedy's spot when she leaves in a year. I would love to see the two of them fill that role.
So on the rumor mill episode that we're not going to do, not going to
we'll
do
it
now
next week.
anyway.
Yeah, we'll do it next week with Paul.
There was a report that Jon Favreau was actually being eyed to take over Kennedy's spot.
Yeah.
So in 2021, or at the end of the year, she has a contract for her job. So at the end of the year in 2021, it expires.
Yeah,
And,
we can get into that more with that, but that's I would love to see the two of them working hand in hand on Star Wars shit, because the two of them, their knowledge and their love of it is amazing. It would be great.
Yeah, but this is a rumor from Goliath, so do what you want with it. There may be nothing to it. She had a contract before, and they just renewed it for 3 more years when it came up. So,
but now, all right. So now, the reason I'm saying that though is because all the little Easter eggs that he pops in here, like the stuff that you've seen throughout, like where we thought we saw Boba Fett in Episode 1, and Episode 2 has a bunch of little nods here and there. Here, when the dude brings out the
Camtono,
it is the. For lack of a better term, the ice cream maker that you've seen. It's for those that are really steeped in Star Wars lore and memes and shit like that, right? All the internet speak back and forth. There was a guy in Empire Strikes Back when they evacuate the city. This dude, Wilro Hood, he became known as. Yep. He was named later because he was just, again, Star Wars fans have a knack for picking out every little detail and like, what's that? What is going on there? He was running with an ice cream maker, and it's a large white ice cream maker, and he's taking off down the hallway with it. And everyone always wondered about it, to the point where they gave him a name and a little background story, and they gave him a figure. There's a figure of him with the little ice cream maker, right? So the client brings out an ice cream maker, and it's a Camtono, right? So, but he turns it and he opens it up like and it's a safe.
It's a safe.
So you find out that this thing is actually a safe, which starts immediately with all the fans. What the hell was the dude in Empire Strikes Back carrying, right? So we can get to that later.
Yeah,
but
I did post a thing on the Facebook page saying, okay, what's in the Camtono, Wilro, and we got some amusing responses.
Oh yeah, it was very funny. Everything from his porn collection. Yeah. That was the best. His porn collection. He's like, if you're leaving the ship, if you're leaving the city, you got to take your porn collection with you.
There was
it was actually Baby Yoda. was one of the things in there.
Leia's panties.
Yeah.
Luke's hand and saber.
Yeah.
And then of course a whole bunch of there's ice cream in it. Duh.
Yeah. Rocky Road. Sorry.
So 40 years later, Jon Favreau vindicates Wilro Hood, and fans no longer have to ask what the fuck that guy is doing with an ice cream maker, because it isn't one. It's a Camtono.
It's a safe. It's the Yeti of safes. So that was pretty good. I like that. Ice cream maker, cold, Yeti. Hey, there you go. Every once in a while I pull one out of my ass.
So they pay the Mandalorian in a massive amount of Beskar steel. There must be 16 plus pressed bars there. I'm not even sure.
I don't even know how much this shit is worth, but just from 2 episodes of them talking about it, I already know this is impressive.
Yeah.
Right? The amount of shit that he gets for this thing.
So where does Mando go? Back to the armor,
back
right?
To the armor.
Yeah, you gotta go back to the armor. So he goes back to the Mando armor in the underground forge or whatever it is.
And she has a name, right?
I don't actually know what her name is.
I thought you named her at some point.
Well, okay. Emily Swallow plays the character, but I don't know the character's name.
Okay.
So anyway, he goes down and he plops down all this Beskar, pressed Beskar bars. Oh man, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And so one of the other Mandos, which we believe is Paz Vizsla because of the credits at the end, but one of the other Mandos comes up and starts talking shit to him about it, right? Like, oh, you taking this garbage from the people that purged us.
It is Paz Vizsla because it's voiced by Jon Favreau.
Yes, it is.
Who also voiced Pre-Vizsla in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Different spelling for what it's worth. There's an extra letter in there. I've seen some people say this is a connection. He's part of the Vizsla clan.
Sure, I would say that, yeah.
But then at the same time, you look at it like, okay, so this is Favreau. He voiced the original guy. He has all the creative control. Why the fuck would he spell it different?
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I think it might just be a nod to the guy and not trying to actually make a connection.
But I would hope they would connect it because the clone... the cartoons that are out there now are canon, so you would think that they wouldn't slip up like that, or just make a nod.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a thing.
Or maybe it's like my name. You add an E to it, it's still kind of the same name, but something like that.
I was gonna say like the Jawish people that changed their last name so it sounds less Jawish.
Like Stan Liebertowski, whatever the hell his name was. Now it's Stan Lee, or was Stan Lee before he died.
That was a joke from Chapter 2, by the way. You'll have to go back and listen to it if you want to know. So people change their last names to hide who they are, and the Mandalorians have talked several times about the Purge. Including in this episode, they talk about the Purge here. In this scene, in fact, they talk about the Purge. So obviously something happened. There's only a handful of them left, and they're in hiding, right? So maybe they change names.
And they all come up one at a time. Of
course, jokingly, Vizsla versus Vizsla with the S or without is kind of, okay, you didn't really hide your name. So who knows? I hope we'll find out. We'll find out in here. So anyway, Vizsla talks shit to him. He talks shit to the Mando because he's got these pressed Beskar with Imperial stamps on it. And he's like, oh, this is from the Purge. F off, you're working with the enemy, whatever. And then they start to get in a knife fight, which is hilarious to me because they're wearing Beskar steel armor. Like, what the fuck are you going to do to each other with knives? Really?
I'm wondering if it's like plate mail in the old D&D where there is, like it's held together by leather
I suppose
or something.
There are tiny gaps in their armor around the neck and a little bit in the chest plate. I suppose you could stab somebody. It's still just funny. And maybe it's just a thing. Maybe it's just like I challenge you to a duel, and that's just how it works in Mando society. But we get our next very, very, very memeable, clearly because it's been memed everywhere, thing in here. So the armorer, who I think is a leader. I'm going to do a throwback one because we didn't mention it when we did the review. It's on the episode 1 article with all the Easter eggs, but we didn't talk about it when we did the review. So first episode, when he's walking down that hallway to the armorer and he gets right in front of the door, the screenshot is up in the air and you can see a mythosaur signet above her doorway.
Yup.
And then it scrolls down to the doorway real quick after a few seconds. And then he goes in, right? And so for anybody that knows anything about Mandalorians, that mythosaur, at least the skull, is a symbol of the leader of all the Mandalores, right?
Yeah.
And so
it's also on a flag at Maz Kanata's cantina too. Remember?
Yep, it is. We've seen
everyone keeps saying, "Oh, it's Boba Fett."
Yeah, we've seen a couple places in canon, a whole lot outside of canon. But of course, you see it at Galaxy's Edge too, right? They use that.
Yep.
But so we've seen it in several different places. It definitely has a meaning to it. Now the difference is, in this case, it's a signet. It's not the skull, right? It's a signet thing, and she's been talking since episode 1 about your signet. Yeah, like is that you got to kill a creature or something or best it. I don't know what the rules are, but to get this signet, right?
Right.
And so he keeps saying, no, not yet. It hasn't been shown to me. Well, she clearly has one, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's above her door.
Sure.
And so it's a mythosaur, which means she's a much older Mandalorian that's been around for longer, I would think. Because they used to ride the mythosaurs, right? They also talk about that in episode 1. When Quill's like, hey, you can't ride a blurg. Your people used to ride mythosaurs.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see as it pans out what happens.
But anyway,
because she's very well respected.
That's the thing. That's the thing. This is all just leading up to, they obviously respect the hell out of her, and when they get into this fight and she's like, hold on a second.
They stop.
Yeah. And she just
stops them.
She doesn't even flinch or anything when they start fighting. She just kind of like
waits.
doing her shit, waiting it out.
You know what she's like? Like a mom with boys.
Yeah.
Let them wrestle it out for a second, and then we're like, all right, enough before I come in there.
All right, and then she says something to them.
She did all but take her slipper off.
Yeah, basically. But she says something to them, and they're like, shit, you're right. And then we get this phrase, this is the way. This is the way. This is the way.
And they all repeat it, yeah.
And they all repeat it. This is the way. This is the way. And so, fucking memeable material from hell. This is the way has been on every goddamn Facebook post about the Mandalorian.
Everything. This is the way, and I have spoken. That's all you see. And I do love that every time he comes back with Beskar Steel, he says, okay, I'm going to replace this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you're going to take all this excess, because apparently even those little bars can make a lot of shit.
Yeah, that part is amazing too. Like, how thin is this goddamn armor?
Down, but apparently it's,
I mean, like,
or maybe it's just a coating. What if it's coating?
She made a pauldron from one bar.
All right. Well, what if the shit's like adamantium? Like even like Wolverine's bones are just coated in it, but they're unbreakable. You know what I mean? So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if it's just coating over something else?
I don't know. I don't know what magic there is, and I really don't even care that much.
Yeah. Again, the physics of Star Wars is like,
and so
loosely based.
She's basically like, in a nutshell, I think she says we can form this in many ways, but in a nutshell, we can do whatever the hell you want with this. What the fuck you want?
And I do love that he gives most of it away to the foundlings again, and that's where they're all like, "This is the way." So, which, even though they're jealous of him for getting the bounty and being up there and kind of like, you know, not showboating necessarily, but like the rest of the Mandalorians seem irritated with him, you know, by his actions.
Well, they do,
but they respect him. You can at least see even that in that one scene, they still kind of have that somewhat respect because he's paying it forward to the other kids. Yep. You know, so there's that.
There is that,
and that becomes something later.
Well, yeah, and this is another attribute to her, but I mean, her words also made a big impact because we're going to see something else happen with all the Mandos at the end of this episode, right?
And that's what I mean. Yeah, her words and his actions, as far as taking care of the Mandalorian tribe.
So we see that she's making him a breastplate out of that metal. We don't know what else he's being made, but of course, the very next the very next scene. Sorry. Yeah. We haven't seen the next episode, I swear. It's coming out on Friday. We don't know anything.
Dude comes walking in and...
yeah, and he's got like this complete... I mean, everything
is Beskar steel. Yeah, everything's silver now.
Yeah, everything. The pauldrons, the shin guards, the breastplate. And so, curious question for me here to sidebar a little bit. Every Mandalorian we've seen pretty much at this point, maybe there's a couple exceptions, but from TCW, from the Clone Wars. But every Mandalorian we've seen at this point has colored armor. And for whatever reason, his is just pure metal, shiny shit.
Maybe it's got something to do with the signet, too. Maybe like when he picks his signet, he can also pick color or some shit.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's colorblind. He's like, fuck it, I don't care. Shoot at me. Come at me, bro.
It's just a curious thing. Like, even his original armor that he has before this has color on it.
Yeah, it was like a reddish, like a rust red kind of. But like Boba is multicolored though. He's like got like some grays and greens and shit.
Greens, yellows.
But it is colored. Yeah. It's not like it's not just like it's painted steel or whatever. Yeah. Painted Beskar.
So I don't know if they put something in the Beskar to make colors. Maybe they can't do that now, or he doesn't.
Yeah, we're overanalyzing the bullshit again.
We are. I'm just curious. Like, she says it's going to draw attention. Well, it's drawn fucking attention because it's the shiniest goddamn armor we've ever seen
on a desert planet under a sun.
Yeah, Captain Phasma is the only person in the entire Star Wars trilogy to have
shinier than him. Yeah. The dude is his own sun right now, and the sun just gleams off him like bing.
So
is that a beacon? No, it's a Mandalorian.
So he's back at the Bounty Hunter Guild at this point. Of course, he walks in. Everybody notices his fucking armor. And then he finds out from Grief Karga that basically the entire Bounty Hunters Guild has been giving out fobs for the kid.
Yeah.
And it seems pointless to mention that at that point, but you're soon going to know why that matters. So there's 2 Easter eggs I noticed in this scene. One we've already briefly talked about in episode 2 thing, the Parsec. So Grief Karga says to him something about like, you're the best bounty hunter in the Parsec or something along those lines.
Which goes back to what Paul said earlier, because I said it's something they can't get parsecs right.
Yeah.
It's time, and Paul said it's also area, and it's space, it's distance. On Earth is distance. Here apparently it's all 3. They don't know. I think it's just whatever the fuck you want it to be.
John Favreau is not going to let this die because...
maybe parsec in Star Wars is like, just go a bit. Go a bit. Yeah. It could be go a bit in time, go a bit. I figured it out.
New language.
Go away.
So anyway, he's not going to let it die. That's the second time we've heard this because the client also says it. I don't know if he said it in this episode or previous one, but the client also says it. So
yeah,
they're not going to let it go. We're probably going to hear Parsec every episode. He is
so steeped in Easter eggs and trolling Star Wars fans that I'm convinced that by like episode 7, there's going to be like a time jump, and you're going to see the Mandalorian walk through the Mos Eisley Cantina and watch Han shoot first again.
This time the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So the Mountie, the
Mountie?
yeah.
I am
He's
the Mountie.
he's a Canadian Mountie. You know, aren't those the guys that ride
a
the
fucking wrestler in WWE?
No, aren't Mounties the guy that ride the horses in Canada?
Yes. He was also a WWE wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Literally a Mountie.
I
He
like
used to walk around with a
WWF.
cattle.
I don't know anything about WWF.
Well, he was in WWF. Sorry, he was in WWF.
No, I
he
can't
was way
remember.
back.
I remember. Yeah.
He had a big beef with Tito Santana for a little while.
Did he wear glasses? He had a red coat or
yeah.
something?
He was because he was dressed like a fucking Mountie, Eric.
I'm almost confusing him with Sergeant Slaughter. Well, I know Sergeant Slaughter doesn't wear that outfit, but I feel like it's the same guy.
No, he was with G.I. Joe and the WWF.
All right, so where were we? So
Mando, now we've gotten 3 different geekospheres in here.
So Mando
this fucking Venn diagram is getting great. Good.
Mando wants another bounty, and so we get another fucking Easter egg. Because he tells him there's like a Mon Calamari diplomat's son or some shit, or prince. I don't remember what the fuck he said, but
it was a diplomat's son, if I remember correctly.
And so you gotta wonder: is there some relation here to? Are we doing another throwback
to Akbar?
Yeah, is there a General Akbar tie on this kid?
Maybe.
Who's got a bounty up on him? Who knows?
He was an admiral.
Yeah, admiral. What did I say?
General.
Oh, he was a general at one point.
Sure.
Hey, Holdo went from general to vice admiral in like one movie. That's fine.
Right? Yeah. Fuck it. Let's not talk about her and the strong women. We'll get to that later.
So anyway, just another Easter egg there. Mon Calamari, gotta have it. Why not? We already had Quarren in the first episode, which also come from Mon Calamari. Nobody knows what the fuck they are. So anyway, he gets his bounty. He's about to go leave to get that bounty. He's like this close to.
Everything's powered up. Yeah,
pushing forward on the space jump or something. And then he's like, you know what? Change of mind. And,
what stops him is he starts to screw the control knob back onto his...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because the kid had unscrewed the control knob and
to play
with it. And he's like, that's not a toy.
Yeah.
And that will also become relevant towards the end of it.
So that's happened in the previous episode where he's like, that's not a toy. It's just a knob that screws on top of one of the control sticks on the ship. He's got to pick it up and put it back on. And he pauses for a second. And then he gets ready to take off. Pauses again. And then abruptly starts shutting the whole ship down. Yeah. And you're like, shit's about to go down.
You know right away what the fuck he's doing. Yeah. So he's going back to the client's bunker.
And he does so much with saying so little, too.
Yeah. Without even any facial expression.
Which is interesting because you got a guy like Pedro Pascal, who Game of Thrones fans know as the Sand Snake or whatever from those guys.
I forgot the name of the place.
Yeah,
you don't watch a show for like a month, and now
I know. Yeah, it's just gone. But killed by the mountain, right? He gets his eyes squished out by the mountain. Anyway, those guys like him. You got a guy like him in there. He's doing so much just with his body language. It's been amazing. So he shuts everything down and he takes off the ship. And starts to head back toward the client to go retrieve the kid.
Oberyn was his name, from Dorne.
Oberyn, from Dorne. Dorne, yeah, we were so close.
So he's going back to get the kid, and I don't have it on our outline, but when he's walking into the alleyway right before he gets to the client thing, and he's going to look in the trash, right behind him, there's a metal pole like leaned up against the wall.
Yes, yeah, it's on our Facebook page. Go check that out.
Yeah, it is, and I'll put it in the Easter egg website post when we get to it. But there's this pole there, and it happens to be the exact same. It's got weird like markings and handles on it or whatever, and it happens to be the same pole that.
When you see our Facebook post, you'll be like, "Holy shit!" It's the same exact pole that Han, Leia, and Luke used to try to hold open the trash compactor doors.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
He's like, climb higher. I'm trying.
So, again, just another random Easter egg that you'd almost miss. Yeah. And the funny thing is that they try to draw your attention to it. When the Mando walks down that alleyway, he sort of turns his head to the right as he passes that pole, like he's looking at it.
Right.
So, like, you're supposed to look at it. But,
right,
I mean,
the first watch through, nods.
The first watch through, I didn't pick it up.
I missed it the first time. Yeah. The second time I watched it, I saw it. Yeah.
So, rewatching this helps because I think we did the Easter egg post for this episode 1 only. There was like more than 30 Easter eggs in that first episode.
Like the first episode review we didn't even. I don't think we even talked about the damn Kowakian lizard monkey. That was hilarious. The roasting one and the other one sitting in the cage, like, which is Celestia's Crumb from Jabba's Palace, the little monkey thing.
Yep. You miss so much on the first walkthrough or the first watch through because you're paying attention to the episode and the story.
Yeah, you're following along the action.
And then you go back and watch the second time, like, shit, I missed that. I ended up watching episode 1 4 times.
Yeah.
Before, each time I picked up something else. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even see that before. You know? Anyway, where the hell were we? So
he's going after
him.
him.
So he's going back there. You see that pole. He looks through the garbage and he sees the broken egg bassinet thing. Yeah. And then I think that was the point where he's like, okay, fuck this. I'm getting that baby back.
Yeah. So he climbs up to the roof across the street.
Yeah. So he is looking through his super scope that apparently also has listening ability or something, because you see, like, you can see the characters through the wall. But you can also, and it's red glow like an infrared camera or something, and then you can also hear them talking, and not well.
It's a tuning fork.
Yeah, it's a tuning fork. Yeah, it does look like a tuning fork.
All right.
So you can hear them also talking, not really well, but a little bit.
And it's muffled.
I don't know how relevant this is. I mean, it's almost probably obvious, but Dr. Pershing says to the client, that the orders were to bring it back alive.
Yeah.
And so they're very clearly talking about the yodeling here, but this makes me wonder. So the client clearly doesn't give a shit if the thing is dead or alive. He even tells Mando in the first episode, whatever, bring it back dead. We don't care. It pays less, but
it'll pay less, but just.
And then Dr. Pershing's like, no, you must keep it alive, right? Yeah. And so now Dr. Pershing is telling him again, the orders were to bring it. The orders
are to bring it back alive,
right? Like, so who's giving them orders that? That the client, the Empire guy, doesn't give a shit, but Dr. Pershing is super concerned about. I mean, maybe he's just a decent guy and he doesn't want to kill a little baby, but...
Yeah, more on that in a few seconds.
Yeah. So anyway, Mando decides he's going to go on the assault. Not going to let this baby die. Fuck that. He wrecks the stormtroopers. They didn't have a chance in hell.
Holy shit. The first thing he does, he bangs on the door, and the little door,
the TT-8L or whatever,
whatever the hell it is, comes out.
The gatekeeper droid.
Yeah, it's just like and he grabs that thing by the stalk and rips it out. I was like, that was so fucking perfect. And okay, was it me or those stormtroopers came out a little too fast? Like they were. I mean. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but in any kind of watch-standing military thing, there would have been a little bit more, even a few more seconds of reaction time. You have to realize that things were ripped out. They came out immediately, like they were on the other side of that thing with a scope, and they weren't.
Yeah.
So it was a little. Obviously, they got to cut time where they can. So I got that.
Well, too, when he
technically, you know what? They don't have to fucking cut time because this should be an hour every time, easy.
That's true. But when he went there the first time, remember, he put the card up to the eye, and then the door just opened, and then there was a gonk droid in there, like, moving around. He had to walk around it. It wasn't until he got to the second door in the hallway that the troopers came out.
Yeah, these guys were immediately there waiting for him, which again talks back to your point earlier.
He made a mistake when he started asking questions. They knew he was coming.
They were ready for him.
Yeah,
because they came out immediately. So, all right, to your point, because the first thing I thought was, why the fuck were they right there? But yeah, because he played his hand ahead of time. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. So they were ready for him.
Yeah.
Not really.
So he wrecks.
They were ready for somebody. They sure as fuck weren't ready for Mando.
God damn. They were ready for the cleaning ladies to come. Why the fuck are they so dirty? Like, why? They can't just, like, dust themselves off a little? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we get it. The Empire's fallen. We get it.
But they don't have to be that filthy. Like, what? They look like they roll around in wet clay. What the hell?
They do. Even the ones that were running around the desert Tatooine looking for the droids in New Hope weren't that dirty.
In any case, so he wrecks about, I don't know, 6 of them or 7 of them on the way into where he finally gets into
bunch of them.
And so he opens the room to where Dr. Pershing was the first time he went there, and of course Dr. Pershing there again. But what do you see? An ITO interrogator droid floating over there. What are they interrogating this baby? Can't even fucking talk.
Not that we know of.
I mean, it's a fine Easter egg to throw in there, and it is another Easter egg, and there's a million of them. But why are you interrogating a baby? I understand he's 50
maybe it
years
was
old.
just a sedative in the thing.
Maybe.
It did have a needle. It had a needle, just like,
Interrogator droid has been reprogrammed to do nice, gentle, make you go to sleep.
Probably not, but yeah, I'm sure. Well, it was there. It was a nice nod to A New Hope.
Yeah. So in A New Hope, Vader uses that interrogator droid to interrogate Leia. We never actually get to see the interrogation, but
yeah, which is a scene I'd love to see. Anyway,
you assume there's
my
some bad
old
shit
man
going
dirty
on.
mind going away. Anyway.
So the being is lying there under some sort of weird machine that actually looks like it was taken out of Star Trek. It's got like a thing over the top of the
right, yeah,
thing over the top of the Yodelorian, and
it's funny too because in episode 1, the fish dude that Mando goes after,
the
right? The
Mithril?
blue one,
Yeah.
the Mithril. He seemed very more Star Trek-y than Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Horatio Sanz. Yeah, his portrayal was definitely like much more comedic.
More Star Trek type of character than you would see in. But I mean, I wasn't complaining about it.
I'm not complaining either.
I'm noticing maybe a blend, a mild blend. But I mean, didn't Abrams do the remakes of Star Trek? Was that Whedon?
No, Abrams did Star
right?
Trek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's all starting to muddle in his mind a little bit.
Well, they're reaching out to Abrams, like, hey, Abrams.
Could be. I mean, they're just like taking. Oops. I mean, because I'm sure they're all influencing each other here and there.
Probably.
But all right, so he beats the piss out of everybody, and then he gets up to the doctor, and the first thing the doctor does is, "Please don't hurt it. It's only a child."
Yep.
Which goes to maybe he does at least. Maybe not care, but he's more of a pacifist type of... Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to see the thing hurt.
Well, he could also be interested in the
love of science. He wants to see...
the other fan theory side of it, which is that he's a scientist and he might want to clone this or figure out some way to access the Force.
He could be trying to clone it, because again, we go back to the Camino thing.
He could just be studying it to figure out how it has Force abilities, and maybe they could pass those on. Yeah, to troops or something. Who knows? Looking for an edge, right? But anyway, he clearly doesn't want the kid killed, and he even says that to Mandalorian. Please don't kill him. I don't know why he'd say that, because Mandalorian obviously has no interest in that. Why the fuck did he come back? You knew why he was coming back. He played his hand already. But anyway, so he gets the kid, and then he's on his way out, and we see that flamethrower again. But this bothered me just a little bit, and I'm not gonna. And I'm gonna play
devil's advocate on it
because of the hard science stuff. But that is never followed. But the stormtroopers have plasteel armor, right? And so he flamethrowers the stormtrooper for like 5 seconds, maybe, right. And not only is the armor melted, but the guy's on the ground dead. Like, what fucking use is that armor? You might as well just be naked, stormtroopers.
Because every time they get hit, even briefly, I mean, all right. But you're right. In any other shot of Star Wars, our heroes get shot in the arm, this, that, whatever, and they just hands cut off, whatever. These stormtroopers get shot, and it's almost like the armor makes them die. It just shuts them down.
Yeah. It gives a little jolt to their heart.
Yeah, it just kills them. I would say the flamethrower, maybe melting it. Cooked the dude inside at the same time. Maybe he wasn't quite dead. Maybe he just passed out from the pain too.
That's crazy.
He sure as hell wasn't moving though.
Yeah,
I mean, after a while, you pass out from the pain.
Mando loves his flamethrower.
He does.
Clearly. He
barely
used it
ever
several
works.
times.
This is the only time you see it work.
This is the only time ever since he started using it that it actually did any goddamn good for him.
Anything at all.
And it was for one stormtrooper that he probably could have just kicked to the ground because they're useless. So, where are we at? So anyway, he gets out of there with the kid, right? And then he's on the. Oh shit! We saw that very last scene. He gets surrounded by 4. Yeah, I almost skipped this. Before he leaves, he gets surrounded by 4 stormtroopers. Yeah. And so now we get to see what the whistlebirds are.
Yeah, we didn't mention it earlier, but
we didn't mention it in the episode too.
Armor, when he sees the armor, one thing special that she asked me, do you want me to make you anything special since you don't want your signet yet? She said, I can make you whistlebirds, but they're only good for one use. And you see her loading them. They look like rounds.
Yeah.
And they're loading into a gauntlet. So basically, they're like little homing missiles.
Yeah,
kinda.
I think he probably had... I'd have to go back and look at this scene, but probably somewhere around 10 to 12 of them.
Yeah.
That she put in his gauntlet or whatever, or in his wrist.
But she says they're only good ones, so I guess it's like a pull a trigger and they all fire.
Oh, I think each one is just good once.
Oh,
That's
okay,
how
maybe.
I took it.
Hopefully.
I think they were trying to make it like you can't just
But
use
how
this...
would you...
Well, I think they were trying to make it
control
like...
how many you shoot out.
Because
you know,
they're made... Oh, who fucking knows? It's Star Wars. So... I think the reason that they called it out and said, like, we're going to make these special for you, and you know, I think the reason is because they're pretty powerful, you see in this thing. He just kind of like punches the ground and 4 guys are dead, basically, within a second.
They shoot out and they fly around the room
I
real
think
quick.
what they don't want to do is they want to have a cool weapon, but they don't want it to be like every time he gets in a tussle, you're like, hey, why didn't you use the fucking whistlebirds, idiot?
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you pronounce that?
Deus Ex Machina?
Deus Ex Machina, yeah. There you go. That's completely wrong, but we're going to go with it because fuck it.
Deus Machina.
There you go. Nice. So he does that, and I'm sure there's something more to him just punching the ground. I think he pulls something.
Well, no.
He presses something in his palm or something.
He does something really quick, and 4 guys are basically dead within a second off these whistlebirds. But that would be an easy kill, and he would have been able to use it also on the last part of this episode if they didn't establish that, like, hey, super limited here, you know, you only get to do this once, and
right,
you know, so I think that's why they did that, just to keep
which
fans
is what
from
made
whining.
me think that they all shoot out at once. And maybe, granted, there were only 4 troopers in there, and there were more whistlebirds in his gauntlet, but I think they all shot out at once. And
maybe
just
I don't
attacked whoever was there. Who they knew to attack, that was amazing too. But anyway, fuck it, Star Wars logic.
They're right on point. So anyway, so he gets out of there. And he's making his way to his ship, and what fucking happens with the entire bounty hunter guild?
All right, this is my only issue with the entire series so far. Because it starts, the series starts with his little tracker thing, right? His beacon, right? Mm-hmm. Boop, boop. And it's a red light on a little triangle with 2 antennae. You start to see these things go off. Everyone's got one, right?
Yep.
So it's the Bounty Hunter Guild beacon, right? What on there said anything about who the fuck was going? What you know what I mean? Like I could see like if it beeped because you were close to a bounty, but they all went off like this, like John Wick, like these. You know what I mean? Like John Wick has a bounty on him starting in 2 hours now. You know, whatever. That's what the way these things went off, like to signify that the bounty is on this guy now.
So I think each tracker is unique to the bounty because in episode 1, when he brings back the 4 people in Carbonite, the first thing he does is lay the trackers on the table, and then Grief Karga is like, "Oh, here's your credits," and then the bounty hunter Mando grabs the 4 trackers and takes them back, and he's like, "Whoa, hold on, don't stop with the theatrics." So I think there's a tracker per bounty.
Sure. So, all right. No, but that would be my question, though. Because that was quick.
Oh, yeah.
1, okay?
Well, again, he laid his hand out, I think, early. So it is
Maybe,
very possible the client called Grief Karga and said, hey, this guy just broke your rules.
So you think Grief Karga gave him out to everybody for Mando and activated them when...
Well, so they already had them. Because he says earlier, when the Mando comes back, that he had given those trackers to almost everybody in the guild.
Oh, so you think they're for the kid, not...
Yeah, for the kid.
Oh, okay,
exactly.
okay. Yeah. I took it like they were for Mando.
No.
That makes way more sense.
So everybody has a tracker still left over from the kid that they had already been given.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think the client tipped off Grief Karga saying, hey, your bounty hunter is asking questions that are against your code. And so I think at that point, Karga was like, okay, let's see what happens.
Let's leave these out there.
You know, Mando wouldn't do this, but if he does... we'll all get paid for it. And so I think they were all waiting outside, basically.
Okay.
I mean, because there's like 30 guys. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they had to pre-plan that. It wasn't just like,
it was like Grief had a luncheon with all the whole guild.
Exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, they're all waiting for him. So
So,
but yeah, like you said, I get it now with the kid because I was like,
it was for the kid.
It was way fast for them to get all those trackers on him, and just the logistics of how the trackers work. You know, I haven't explained any of it.
It's a garbage system, to be honest. If all you have is a beep beep and a red light, oh my god. You have fucking spaceships. What the hell's wrong with you people?
I've got better tracking on my goddamn dog.
Of course, their ships don't have computers. Instead, they have to buy a droid to put in the ship to do anything useful.
Touche.
So anyway, the entire bounty hunter guild is after him now. I think at this point they're probably going to get paid if they get the kid back, but I think they're also trying to enforce the code. And I think part of that code is don't do a bounty and then, renege on it.
Sure, yeah.
And Greef Karga even says something to him in the ensuing battle where he's like, it's something to the effect of, you broke the code, man. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, because he was like...
Oh, it's on the ship.
It was his boy.
It was on the ship. When he gets onto the ship at the end of this, he's like, I didn't want to do this, but you broke the code. That's what he says to him.
And now prior to that, when... they're sitting down before he takes the bounty for the Mon Calamari. Greef even tells him, like, well, hey, you're my favorite because, look, you made me rich, too. And he pulls some bars of Beskar steel
he has two Beskars out of his...
He's got them in his tunic.
In his tunic, yep.
Right?
Which will become important.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And it's a throwback to something, but I haven't had time to figure out what it is. So anyway, this battle scene ensues now. Mando versus, 20, 30 bounty hunters. It's really quite ridiculous. And of course he's totally overwhelmed and he's not going to make it. Again, this is his next challenge. This is the fourth one now. So you had IG-11 helped him with getting the first bounty, right?
Yeah.
Then Quill helped him with the blurgs. Then Yodalorian helped him with the Mudhorn.
And now he's in shit again. Now, granted, though, he's in shit against a whole bunch of bounty hunters.
Oh,
he's holding his own for a while. Like you said, you wrote in your notes, he's straight disintegrating motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, he is. He hops into a skiff with the droid, and the droid is stupid, so it just does whatever he says, and then... he's
I love how he holds a gun up to it like drive, and it's like,
and then he's sniping motherfuckers out of this thing. Yeah. It's funny, but of course they're approaching him, and then he tries to do the flamethrower on the guys that are close to him,
and it runs out
of fuel. So again, this is a thing that we haven't seen in Star Wars before, and they're sort of establishing something new. But nobody ever runs out of blaster energy. Nobody's lightsaber ever fizzles. There's no bullets that you run out of. That never happens, but yet they're doing that with the Mandalorian. Everything is limited. He's got to pick and choose what he's going to do, what he's going to use. His tools are
They're grounding it a little more in reality, which is nice.
And his tools aren't all inclusive. You can't look at that and say, hey, Mandalorian, why don't you use your flamethrower? Well, fucking thing's got no fuel, Yeah. So... it's pretty interesting. He's
pinned down.
Yeah, so he's pinned down and he does a flamethrower, and just like the Jawas, all the guys just dodge it. Nobody gets hit.
Yeah.
And then before he can do anything else, it runs out of fuel. And so then he's in deep shit, and he's laying on his back, right, in the back of that skiff or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden out of nowhere...
it looks like they're about to get him.
Yeah, and all of a sudden out of nowhere...
one dude gets shot and disintegrated, right? Like the first one, I think the first one gets disintegrated too.
I don't remember, but
Anyway, but then you start to see silhouettes in the background, and it's all the Mandalorians coming on fucking jetpacks and shit, coming to save his ass. Which goes back to my my spiel earlier about how they still respected him, even though, maybe he rubbed them the wrong way a little bit with his bounty hunting skills. And being up on the surface for so long, whatever, because they were taking turns or whatever they were doing, but they still, he's still one of them.
Yep.
So they come to save his ass.
The Mandos come. There must be a dozen Mandos. They just start flying in with jetpacks. They're jumping over walls. This shit is like, oh, motherfucker, you done.
Yep.
And so bounty hunters, of course, have no chance against these guys. It's ridiculous.
The big-ass Mando, Paz.
Yeah, so the heavy Mando, Paz.
Paz, he's got the giant Gatling gun.
Yeah, so he drops in out of nowhere on the rocket pack, and then he's pulling out this fucking, blaster Gatling gun. I don't know what the hell you call it. just wrecking people. I don't know why you need a heavy gun. I guess maybe because it produces extra power or something.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's like Chewie's bowcaster knocks stormtroopers on their ass, but everyone else's shit just knocks them down.
Yep. And then right after Paz Vizsla comes in, but before the Mando has escaped, there is this quick cut to a scene where you're looking at the back of one of the bounty hunters and he gets blasted, and behind him is standing this bounty hunter. I mean, personally, I think that's a Boba Fett nod that he's given to everybody. This isn't Boba Fett, but this guy has a helmet like Boba's. Not. It's got the rangefinder on it. I mean, it just...
How do you know it's not?
I guess I don't know. I mean,
because everybody else's visor, except for the Mandalorian and Boba, those two look alike. Everyone else's visor looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
This dude looks just like Boba Fett, but a different color scheme.
So, you know what
and not even a totally off color scheme either.
What I said to fans is this is not a Boba.
If he had a Wookiee pelt,
maybe it'd
be done.
Maybe it's a Boba. I don't know.
In episode 4, this fucker is going to have a Wookiee pelt. This is the second time you've seen him.
So anyway, he's out here.
I told you, but hey, look, goes to my theory. Boba's going to show up.
Maybe.
Now the Mandalorian, I was wrong about the Mandalorian going to find him. I thought he was going to be on Tatooine trying to find him.
So they're certainly giving a lot of Boba Fett nods. I don't think this is a Boba Fett personally, but I mean... There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of intentional visuals here that they're giving you to make you think it. And I'm sure it'll start a million fan theories. It will. I mean, there's no question.
Yep.
People are going to say he's coming. You're already doing it. But so anyway, his clan is going to hold off the bounty hunters while he makes his escape, right?
Yeah, and he tells them, hey, the whole clan is going to have to move.
Yep.
Because we've exposed ourselves.
Yeah.
And they do again. This is the way.
Yep, this is the way.
Because they take care of their own.
And so they broke their own rules for him, which I think may be relevant at some point, but they all came to the surface when they clearly established the rules one at a time.
Right.
And so,
which means they have to leave.
To save him, they're all coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there might be some relevance to that. I don't know what
I'm sure there will be. It may be just as simple as they never abandoned one of their own, which is great. Abandoned brothers kind of thing.
So Mando gets to his ship, and who's on there but Greef Karga, who snuck off during the fight. And he says, sorry, Mando, didn't want it to be this way, but got to kill you now. You broke the code, right?
Yep.
And so Mando, of course, quick thinking.
Dude, best use of the grappling gun.
Yeah.
The grapple hook on his arm.
Yep.
Yeah. He uses it to hit a canister.
Yeah, and then starts blowing steam or smoke
or
whatever. Yep. And then he shoots Greef Karga. And you think, at least for a few seconds, you think Greef Karga is done. And so he flies out the back of the ship.
Yeah,
the Mando
he shoots
flies
him,
away.
he falls off.
Yeah. And then, but then after
and it
that...
was funny, too, because when we were watching it, Heather was like, oh, so I guess Apollo's not in the next one? And I was like, I guess not.
So, but then you see
pan down to his body.
You see that he pulls it out, and there's 2 Beskar plates inside of his jacket, which he put in there earlier.
And that's exactly where he shot him.
Yeah. And so there was a movie where this happened, and I can't remember what movie it is. There's like a metal plate, book. There's a book, a Bible, some shit like that, in the guy's pocket, and it stops a bullet. I'm gonna figure out what it is. It's not that important.
I want to say something, but it's almost like a dumb movie, like Wild Wild West or some shit, where he's supposed to shoot the guy to make it look like he's bad, and he shoots him right in the Bible. Yeah, you're right. He did it on purpose. Basically.
We're gonna have to figure out what it is because
he did that shit on purpose.
It's probably a throwback to something else.
Yeah,
because last thing that happens in this episode, so we can close this out. The Mandalorian's flying away, and as he's doing that in his ship, he's up above the clouds, and another Mandalorian, I'm assuming it's Paz, but I'm not positive, jetpacks in next to him, and he's flying through the clouds too, and he gives this salute to the Mandalorian.
And it's straight up Rocketeer.
Yeah, and I thought when I saw that, holy shit, that's Rocketeer. And then I think we were talking about it with fans or something on the page, but I was like, oh, well, maybe that was a tribute to Iron Man because Favreau did Iron Man 1 and 2 movies.
Yeah. And one of our Facebook fans.
Somebody said, I'm going to forget what his name is now.
But he posted one of the Rocketeer outside of the ship and one of Iron Man outside of the ship. It was perfect.
So you might not have seen the other post we got. So somebody is like, this is definitely Rocketeer because Joe Johnston, who was the visual effects guy that designed Boba Fett, also designed the Rocketeer for the Rocketeer movie.
Oh, okay.
So he was saying it's probably a throwback to that guy. I think I agree with him.
Okay.
So if he designed Boba Fett and the Rocketeer, it makes perfect sense. So that's it. So it wasn't a throwback. It was a nod. It was a nod to the guy that designed
and then the last thing he says,
both those characters.
I got to get me one of those.
Yeah, and he says I got to get one of those, which you're assuming is that's a setup for the next thing he's going to get when he gets Beskar or whatever the fuck he needs is a jetpack, right?
Yeah.
And so eventually he'll be a bigger, badder Boba Fett, but not today.
So the thing it closes out with the yodeling, climbing back out of the thing, and like he's standing next to him on the ship, and he unscrews that little.
Yeah, he unscrews the
knob
ball and hands it to
him
the knob on the handle. Yeah.
So there's more bonding going on. So that was episode 3. I think what I'd like to do is Paul comes back next week, and that'll be after episode 4.
Yep.
We can all get together and do we'll hold it for then because this one's going longer. We'll hold it theories for whether the second half of this is going to go, and the 3 of us got to sit here together and do it.
So we'll be 4 episodes out of 8 into it at that point.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be fun to kind of try to figure it out together. All right, cool. So in that case, guys, let us know what you think of Mandalorian episode 3, The Sin. And hit us up on whatifgeeks.com, whatifgeeks@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. And we'll catch you guys next week. All right. Good night, Tony.
You're not stealing it from me, Paul. Good night, Yodelorian.